Hello everyone, Bandicoot Commando here and welcome back to Bioshock. Last time we did a shocking turn of events. And this time, even though I said I'd do Worlds of Hurt, I'm gonna admit, I tried doing a recording of this whole thing and I just couldn't do it. It was too much for me to handle. Even on normal difficulty, it was just too much for me, so I'm not going to do Worlds of Hurt. But basically, what you gotta do is that you gotta go to 8 different arenas, and it'll have different sets of enemies, like different splicers, even big daddies, and sentry bots and machine guns, and all that. Once you clear out all 8 rooms and do that, then you would have to be in you'd have to face one more wave of different enemies, and then you get to the little sister. And the way it would be done is that they're in the central hub area. There's a U event if you want to event or hack it. There's a circus of values. There's an ammo, and then there's a gene bank and a gatherer's garden. But I'm not gonna do that because this was just too much for me. So what I'm gonna do instead is show off the museum. Welcome to the Museum of Orphan Concepts, a guided tour of ideas that Irrational Games discarded or reworked heavily during the making of the original Bioshock. So, kind of similar to... What? What did it say? Oh, that's what it's... Kind of similar to when I did God of War and the character graveyard. This is what it is, basically. Just different models or concept art pictures that'll show you of different things of what went through. So we'll start with the big daddies here. Alright, these guys. Oh, I gotta read them. Exhibit Slow Pro Fume. Irrational's internal name for this prototype Big Daddy variant, who mauled players with an enormous hook and fired iron bearings from a barrel, stood for slow projectile fucked up melee. He survived long enough to become a fully functional AI, but the team eventually cut him to focus on polishing the other Big Daddy types. This model later appeared in Bioshock 2 as the Rumbler, throwing miniature turrets instead of cannonballs. So yeah, this would eventually become the Rumbler in Bioshock 2, but I will talk more of that once I eventually get to doing Bioshock 2. This Big Daddy's unique. Early Bouncer. This original model for the Bouncer type of Big Daddy featured a flat-headed drill at the end of each arm. The Big Daddies were envisioned as the builders of Rapture, with weapons modified from tools they would have used in its construction. When the Gatherers were re-imaged as Little Sisters, one of the Bouncer's drills was changed to a gloved hand so the two characters could interact with each other. There's a lot of old beta pictures and even I think early trailers that featured this kind of Bouncer. I think even early gameplay footage of this Bouncer in action exists too. Although I honestly don't see how a flat-headed drill can help, but I don't want to question it. Okay, over here we have this. Forest concept art. Irrational's artist tried to envision how an underwater city would actually function in this early conceptual work of Rapture. One idea imagined a thick forest for the purpose of oxygen exchange, seen here with an observation catwalk running around the edge. The concept of using trees for oxygen exchange made it into the final game in the Arcadia level. So yeah, there's that. Oh, these things. The Gatherer. It may be hard to imagine that this creature, whose job it was to reclaim Adam from corpses around Rapture, was the earliest iteration of the idea behind the Little Sister. Since the Gatherer generated absolutely no sympathy from players, the team experimented with concepts for featuring a number of animals, including the infamous dog in a wheelchair, and later a grotesque miniature humanoid. Finally, a concept sketch of a deformed child inspired the eureka moment responsible for the Little Sisters. So yeah, these little buggers were gatherers originally. Thank God they're not in the final game. Yeah, it's gatherers. These were Little Sisters, believe it or not. Okay, down here we have different splicers and other things. Oh! Stretchy. The first splicer that Irrational created for Bioshock. Oh, Stitchy. Stitchy was used in many early concept demos and was fully functional in-game with kinematics, hit reactions, and voiceover. It took us that long to realize that he wasn't a good model, says lead artist Shaw Robertson. This is probably the worst abortion that Irrational has ever made. Ooh. Yee. He looks like a boomer. Either a boomer or those one guys from what's it again? Shoot, I can't even remember the name of the game. Oh well. Here we have early splicer concept. These were some of the first concept sketches to show Bioshock's enemies moving in a more human-like direction. Artists coupled that approach with the idea that Adam deformed the body in a way that related to its intended function. For instance, a giant grotesque arm on a melee enemy, like this guy. Similar to Stretch Stitchy there. Early splicer, these are the first concepts. For example, a giant... Okay, this guy's different. He's clearly more of a shooter. This guy here. I can't read that well with the... Pre-Yam Han? I think that's what it says. Before solidifying the fiction around Adam, Irrational experimented with the idea of it being an external injected substance. Here you can see us playing around with Adam being mechanically injected, said lead artist Shaw Robertson. So this splicer got vitals of its on its belt. This model was created, but it never made it into the game in any form. So yeah, he's got Adam right there to splice himself up with and everything. Kind of like how Fontaine was spliced up in a way. Why am I getting close to you? Here's some concept art here. Early splicer. Moving from grotesque to human was a slow process. While early concepts saw the melee enemies grew monstrous arms, the team had trouble conveying how someone who had spliced to become a marksman would appear. Early Big Daddy concept. These are the early concepts for the Rosie type of Big Daddy who, like the bouncer, was envisioned as a construction worker who had been repurposed as a protector for the gatherers. And this must be the same thing. Yeah, just with color. Over here we have more things. Ooh. Hooker. Created around the same time as Stitchy and the Grenader, this splicer was dubbed the Hooker because of her weapon of choice. This concept evolved into the Spider Splicer when it was decided that splicer models could fill any behavior role, and the Hooker model later became the Baby Jane Splicer. I could see why you're called Hooker, because I could clearly see you got boobs, and you got hooks and crooks all over you. Let's see. Neptune's Bounty. This area appears in the Neptune's Bounty level of Bioshock, but the bodies floating in the ocean were cut late in development when their cast shadows proved too distracting from the action in the room. There's still some parts in the game where there's floating bodies, though. You just don't really see them. Early environment. The location depicted here was built for the Vision demo of Bioshock, a small level demonstrating several of the key elements of the game, such as the Big Daddies and Gatherers. Oh, like from my Inslate, I guess. I think this is part of my Inslate video in concept form. Oh boy. Grenader Splicer. This gray elephantine splicer was an early grenadier from the same period of development as Stitchy and Hooker. He was a guy who spliced to carry around giant grenades and throw them at you, said lead artist Shaw Robertson. This model was built and textured, but never animated. Honestly, I don't see how he would be of help or use, but more things. Protector concept art. The Big Daddies, originally called Protectors, were envisioned as dive-suited construction workers retasked with the defense of atom gatherers. They used construction tools or improvised weapons that look like they have been found on the seafloor. From left to right are early concepts for the melee, ranged, and slow projectile protectors. So this guy had like a hook with, a hook kind of weapon, a pulley hook. This guy clearly carried a rivet gun. And this guy's just really big and chunky, and he's got tentacles. And a shotgun, from what it looks like. Up here we have even more. Fleet Hall concept. This early concept for Sander Cohen's Fleet Hall was created after level building had begun, when the designers found they were having difficulty conceptualizing the theater space. It was one of the earliest spaces built for Bioshock, and many of the assets used in this museum come from that area. So this very museum comes from the earliest iteration of the theater. Very interesting. Here we got iconic rapture concepts. This was the first image that really captured all the visual elements that made Bioshock. A large view of the ocean, the aquatic lighting scene, and the elegant art deco design elements. Without this image, Bioshock would have been a radically different beast. Yeah. Oh, hello there. Oh. Let's see. Yam Han model. This character, deviously called Yam Han around Irrational Games, was the poster child of the conceptual phase that preceded the decision to go with human enemies. I point out the drawings behind the model, says lead artist Shaw Robertson. You can see the top one got built, but the other two informed the design as well. As we trended more toward humanoids, the Scooby monsters got goofier and less scary. Okay, everything's still recording. Yeah. This guy would have been interesting because he looks like he's part sea monster because of his hands and everything. Whoa. Early creature. These were for some of the earliest pieces done for Bioshock. From back when Irrational was still working on SWAT 4. The only concrete ideas at that point were an undersea city and biological experiments, so early concepts focused on those themes. Yeah, SWAT 4, that's another game they've done, along the lines of System Shock 2, like I said. Oh, that's scary looking. Yeah, that's another thing. I guess this is what would have been an early Big Daddy. Yep, early Big Daddy. This was the fourth Protector concept, originally created with an organic slug attached to it. A model was started but never completed, as the team narrowed their focus to 3 and finally just 2 Big Daddy types. I still like this as a Protector, says artist Rob Waters. We started modeling and I really pushed to get it in, even as just a static model on the floor, but it never made it. Missing Link model. This character is essentially the missing link between the grotesque early designs and the human splicers that appeared in Bioshock. This is the last bad model we did before moving on to what actually went into the shipping game, says lead artist Shaw Robertson. After playing with him for a while, we just said, why don't we use humans instead? I always thought of these as Scooby-Doo monsters because they were too inhuman to invoke empathy. He doesn't seem that inhuman. And besides, there were like some people who got to play early versions of Bioshock before more of it was revealed and let on. These guys, these more human-looking guys, were said to be Soviet Unions. I don't know, there was more to a story like that. Sub-bay concept. This is a concept sketch depicting what would later become a submarine bay, an area which housed an important scene for Atlas. When his family dies. Oh. Big Daddy concept. This is an early concept depicting a Big Daddy busting through a wall, which inspired the audio log in the Big Daddy training grounds area about a rogue Big Daddy. The player then encountered him at the end of the level. Full. Oh, yeah, the proving grounds. This was the Big Daddy that went rogue that we killed. There should be other concept art around here. No. And last but not least, if you look up at this skeleton or these sea life things you see here, hanging sea life, not as much of a concept as an Easter egg for observant museum visitors, these sea creatures can be seen swimming past the player's view during the bathysphere ride down to Rapture in Bioshock's opening sequence. So yeah, when I saw the squid, the crabs, the barnacles, and the whale, of course. Other than that, that's all the concept there is in here. If you try going back here at least, you get a very blocked dead end, and I can see the bulkhead from here, but you really can't go around this no matter what. It's an invisible wall. And you can't get hurt here either. And you don't have weapons or anything, so... Alright, anytime you want to leave, just press... Wait, what happens if I... Okay, I don't have a map. You just want to leave, just press quit. Alright, with that said and done, that is it for Bioshock. I have completed it, even though I said I'd do Worlds of Hurt, I just couldn't handle it. It was just too difficult for me to deal with, to record, so I apologize for not able to do it, but at least I got a chance to try it anyway, and just experience that it really is a world of pain in there. So... that's it. There's nothing else for me to show off or do in Bioshock, really. But all I can say is thank you for watching Bioshock. Maybe I should put the credits back on for this. I mean, I remember when I started working on Bioshock back in, what was it, February, I think? And here it is, July, and I'm just thinking... like, just, if I didn't have so many delays and shenanigans happening, I could have had this done a lot sooner. But at least I had the great opportunity and chance to play it and let's play it and everything. And oh, there's Shaw Robertson there from the concept art. Anyway, and the other thing being on how that I couldn't do Worlds of Hurt, but trust me, it's not easy. It's pretty difficult. I'd hate to do it on the harder difficulties. And, I don't know what more I need to say. This game was great. It was good to play. It was good to let's play. Oh, wait, actually, that's another thing. When I was, in some of my videos, I kept getting copyright claims for the copywritten music in it, and although that does upset me that I can't make money from that video, obviously, with that. Still, I'd like to keep it in because it takes away the soul of the video if you take away an important aspect of it. So, I really don't know if I have anything more to say. I think I pretty much said all that I need to say for this. So, with that... I think that will do it. That will do for Bioshock here. I'd like to just thank you for watching it. It was really hard for me to get through with the delays and all that other stuff I had to go through. But it was worth doing it. So, what my next Let's Play will be... it's gonna be on my PS3 again. It's rated E. It's just weird to jump from rated E to rated M and back and forth. It's just so weird and humorous. The thing about this one, though, is that it's a co-op. I've done this with my girlfriend. I'll say this right now. I've already finished recording all of this way in advance, so all I need to do is just render the videos and upload them in the next few coming days and everything, and yeah. So as for what it is exactly, all I can say is that the best way to put it is where, you know, we're going to a dreamscape of infinite wonders, just anything you can do there on a world just made of dreams and everything. So, yeah. And here comes Sanders' theme. So, all I'll just say is that is it. I'll see you guys in my next Let's Play, and enjoy hearing Sanders' piano theme.